Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Good Old Fashioned Philly Wrestling Podcast. My name is the Mr. 90s Whiz Kid. Today we're going to be reviewing this right here, the Brian Pillman 20th anniversary of the memorial show, of all the different memorial shows that went on in Brian Pillman's memory from the year 1998 to 2001. There's other bonus features on this. I'm going to plug the sites for this: www.prowrestlinglibrary.com, www.pillmanshow.com. You can go out and get this. It's pretty effing cool. I'm going to tell you about just some of the matches that were on this. I just got finished watching all of them. Jericho versus Benoit was on here. Great fight, great match. Al Snow versus Chris Candido with Tammy Lynn Sitch. And that was a really... It's always good to see Candido. You know, it's really great to see his matches nowadays. And Al Snow is another one. It's like, their matches really hold up, you know, on some pro wrestling tip. Like, how do I say this? Like, some of these guys who not came to the dance late, some of these guys that came in the early to mid 90s, like the Jerichos and the Lance Storms and the Candidos, some of the Smoky Mountain guys, really, their matches do really hold up over time. I have to say that. That's not me kissing up to Jim Cornette. That's me just telling the truth. You know, some other matches can be very boring, but it's always good to see the old magic of pro wrestling. Who else we got? And also, too, I'm doing this podcast right now for Brian Pillman Sr. and all the great people that helped him to be remembered in pro wrestling the way he still is today. 24 years later, I think it was. Okay, so Pillman 99. So all the matches I just talked about were from Pillman 98. Pillman 99, Rey Mysterio Jr. and Conan versus Dean Malenko and Chris Benoit with Woman. Highlights of Mick Foley versus D'Lo Brown. That was an interesting one, and they really were big up in D'Lo Brown around this time in 99. They were really proud of his accomplishments, and that was pretty cool to hear that. Al Snow versus Road Dogg for the WWF Hardcore title. So this is 99. So by this point, WWF has already switched over to some pretty hardcore stuff going on. Thanks to ECW. We also have Terry Taylor versus Dr. Tom Pritchard with Missy Hyatt. That was a pretty interesting match to see. I don't know if I've ever really seen those guys wrestle before. And Missy was doing her thing out there. I've seen her in a couple matches, I think, involving this Pillman Memorial show. So I don't want to tell you the wrong thing about the wrong match. There was a lot of matches I just watched. And I'm not trying to go into detail about all this stuff. I'm trying to hype the DVD for you guys. There was a big cruiserweight tournament featuring Shark Boy, Matt Stryker, Chad Collier, and there was a bunch of people in that. I like that one dude, Chip Fairway. He's all over these DVDs. That was somebody that Brian Pillman found, Brian Pillman Sr. So if you get a chance out there, check out Chip Fairway. That's one of Brian Pillman's proteges. Also, Flair and Ricky Steamboat were at Pillman Memorial 99. We're going to switch over to now Pillman Memorial 2000. We have Steven Regal versus Chris Benoit for the WWF Intercontinental title. Like I said, this is 2000. Eddie Guerrero and D'Lo Brown versus Dean Malenko and Perry Saturn. That was a pretty cool match to see. Some of these matches were inter-promotional, cross-promotional. Which are very interesting to see. I will get to more of them later on. Justin Credible versus Raven for the ECW World Title, Pillman 2000. Shane Douglas calls out Diamond Dallas Page. Vampiro versus Bill DeMott. Um, that was pretty interesting. Remember, this is 2000, so this is WCW Vampiro versus Bill DeMott. Billy Kidman and Disco Inferno versus the Harris brothers, Ron and Don Harris. We got Dr. Tom Pritchard versus Tim Horner with Missy Hyatt. Shark Boy versus Jamie San, aka Jamie Noble, with Tony Mamaluke. An appearance by Kevin Nash, uh, raffles, and much more. So, all right, so now we're going to jump over to the Pillman 2001 Memorial Show. Matt and Jeff Hardy versus Edge and Christian versus Diamond Dallas Page and Canyon. Now, this was around the time Diamond Dallas Page and Canyon were doing the Jersey Triad, and it was good to see them working together. You know, Canyon's Dark Side of the Ring just came out, and to see him work is definitely a treat, man. He could really work. Raven and Justin Credible versus Perry Saturn and Dean Malenko. That's a cross, you know, that's a cross promotion match right there because you got Raven and Justin Credible who in 2001, or actually, you know what? See, this is around the time of the Invasion angle, so I can't even say that. I believe Raven and Justin Credible both may have been employed by WWF at this time, if not the tail end of ECW. And Perry Saturn and Dean Malenko were in WWF at this time. So, but you know, you don't get to see these matches every day. Chris Candido with Tammy Lynn Sitch versus Evan Courageous with Missy Hyatt. This was one. This was one to watch, guys. Missy Hyatt was wearing like a stripper outfit with her ass out the whole match, and Sunny was there, and you know she gets fired up. So we got Lita versus Victoria, which was another really cool match. You have to see that. Lita was in her prime in WWF at this time, all hardied out, and Victoria was just coming up in OVW and hadn't made it to WWE yet. We got Mark Henry versus Bill DeMott, aka Hugh Morris. That was a really interesting match to see, and I was not expecting to see it play out the way that it did. You're gonna have to see that one for yourself. NWA World Title. Look at all these titles that are being defended at the Pillman Memorials, man. Serious title matches, all right? Now this is one that you're not going to see anywhere else, all right? The NWA World Title, Steve Corino versus David Flair. That's all I'll say about that one. Terry Taylor versus Bobby Eaton with Jim Cornette, with the special guest referee being Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. That is a match that anybody should see if you love pro wrestling. The HWA title, Ray Steele versus Nick Dinsmore. The HWA Cruiserweight title, Shark Boy, who's been all over these DVDs, versus Pepper Parks versus Matt Stryker versus Chad Collier. Special guest appearance by Steven Regal. And yeah, there's just a whole bunch of extras on this. And I just wanted to give not only Pillman Sr. the shout out for this amazing DVD that's come out, just remembering his life and career in Cincinnati, but I also wanted to do that for all the guys that partaked in that to help Brian be remembered the way he should be. And it seems like over these 20-some years, you know, he really has been remembered the way that I think he should be, you know, and I hope that he feels he should be because, you know, he might not have gotten all the breaks he wanted in WCW, but he certainly, in some crazy way, still being talked about today. I'd say he's won, you know, his life is a success. And now his son is doing his thing, and it's a beautiful thing. You could see Brian Jr. on this, all over it as a kid. And, you know, that's something I didn't realize about Brian Jr. was how many shows he was truly at back in the day and partaked in all this stuff. I mean, he was around, man. I mean, this is, like I said, this is '01. This is 98 to '01. And Brian's son, Brian Pillman Jr., was, you know, very young kid all in the wrestling ring and jumping around and doing his thing, and it's pretty cool to see, man. So go out and buy this DVD. You won't be sorry about it. You know, there's a lot of good matches on there, and these old shows are just so fun to review. Like I was doing the Smoky Mountain one, and that was really fun. Night to be Remembered or whatever it's called, and a show to not be remembered, the title. But no, the Brian Pillman Memorial Show Anthology 20th Anniversary. Go out and get that. Peace.